ultimately they said, what you can do to treat it is take ibuprofen, which is what I had been doing for 20 to 30 years. I never went on a vacation where I didn't experience a tremendous amount of pain, swelling in the joints, swelling in the feet, swelling in the knees. It was always a win-lose situation where I knew I would spend a lot of time in pain. And so I would be eating, 6 ibuprofen 3-4 times a day. I can honestly say now, I had a big trip in November, survived it quite well, did not suffer nearly like I used to. Had a couple of days where I took some ibuprofen, but nowhere near the volumes of ibuprofen to get through it. Like I took 2 pills that day rather than 4 to 6 throughout the day, like 3 multiple times. What surprises me the most is how often the last few weeks I've woken up in the morning and then said, I feel good. It's like it's almost getting routine that I feel good.
Hey, John, I'd love for you to just tell us a little bit about where you were just a couple months ago with your health.
Well, I can go prior to Transform. I was in, I would say, a 30-year cycle of not knowing exactly what was going on, having to go to a lot of different people in the healing arts, a lot of different practices, all of them good people, all of them helping me to some degree, but never actually finding the solution. I was diagnosed in, I want to say 2019 with palindromic rheumatism, which
is a mouthful.
Yeah, and it only affects you if you're between the age 20 to 80, I want to say, and male or female. So
consider a rare unicorn disease.
Yeah, but so it's, and they said, ultimately they said, what you can do to treat it is take ibuprofen, which is what I had been doing for 20 to 30 years.
How'd that work out for you?
I never went on a vacation where you're traveling internationally where I didn't experience a tremendous amount of pain, swelling in the joints, swelling in the feet, swelling in the knees, always really impacting. So I love to travel, but it was always a win-lose situation where I knew I would spend a lot of time in pain. And so I would be eating, 6 ibuprofen 3-4 times a day kind of thing.
Not even taking, literally eating it because there was so much and so often.
Just to get through those episodes. And then, when I'm just in my normal life, I would probably take ibuprofen a couple times a week. And I never knew exactly what was causing the inflammation, what was happening. I knew it couldn't be one thing, because if it was one thing, I would have found it after 30 years.
Well, because you're a big researcher and you've seen a lot of doctors and you really looked into a lot of fun things. I had a question. Did you know that this was an autoimmune condition?
Well, yes. No, I would say like 90-95% no, that I knew that level of knowledge.
Did your doctors know that?
Not until I was diagnosed with palindromic rheumatism, but even then I thought this physician is simply putting a name on it, because there was no known cure, no treatment, no nothing. It was just like, oh, you have this stuff going on.
Now take
we're going to call it palindromic.
Let's get the name.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, well, at least I have a name now. But
well, even the word palindromic, do you know what palindromic means?
Well, it pretty much meant anywhere on the body.
Which means completely random and confusing.
Yes.
Yeah. It's rheumatism that's completely random and confusing, even to doctors. So then they throw a name on it that sounds super fancy, but it really doesn't tell you anything about what really the problem is or how to fix it. Right.
So after going through to applied kinesiologist with the muscle testing, I've done some years with acupuncture, did some other work with some even much more further out type healing modalities. I started realizing it was some sort of thing probably around the gut, something around digestion.
Something related with digestion, something with the gut. But do you know what that was?
Yeah, but how to do anything about it. I remember watching a documentary on the gut and thinking, man, if there was just some tests I could take where they would tell me, this is what you've got and this is what we need to do, that would be the thing. So that's what sent me on the search, and which ultimately led to finding Transform.
Yeah. So what made you, what was your first introduction to me and the work we do in Transform? What made you think, oh, this is something different?
Well, that's an interesting thing to try to comment on. I found through watching some of that stuff, I thought, okay, I'm gonna research Google around, and I found something called functional medicine, which I had not bumped into before.
Like, what is functional medicine?
Yeah, I still couldn't give you a definition, but I got to their website and I said, okay, well, I want to find somebody who's going to work just with me and who will treat my individual symptoms, not just say have a book and say, here's your answers in this book, because I knew one size fits all answer is not going to work with me. Exactly. That I needed a very specific individualized program to do that. So I saw there were some functional medicine people in Oregon, and I saw your name there, and it was sort of some random reasons why I said, okay, I'll try that person. I got in touch with Transform. Liked what I heard in terms of the approach, so that yes, there's an overarching framework that you work within. You've got your 5 pillars, and so there's these basic concepts that make sense, and they're interlocking, so they're not just, oh, it's just digestion, or it's sugar, or it's this. It's all of this stuff,
and they're all working together,
and it's all interrelated, which is why you can't fix one and fix the problem. You have to work with all of them.
Tyler, who we were talking to earlier, said, I went to hundreds of doctors who were just trying to find the one thing, the one thing. The 100 ones didn't even equal to one thing, like one solution at all.
And then on top of that, with that framework, there's still the individual testing. So it's like, okay, but your problem within this framework is you shouldn't be eating dairy. You shouldn't eat these particular types of seeds. You shouldn't eat.
It's very specific.
Very I can eat almost any kind of vegetable except chickpea.
That's it. And it's not 50. Like a lot of people go on elimination diets, and I'm sure you've tried that.
Oh yeah.
Where you eliminate 30 to 50, or even sometimes 80% of the food in your diet. And if that shit worked, you wouldn't have to find me, right? And when you said, what I liked was, you like, if there was only one test, or there was a series of tests, and there was somebody who really understood what that meant for me, and there was data involved, then I got this. Right. Okay. So what were some of the pieces of data you discovered for you that were game changers?
A big part was the food mapping, because there were things that I can get away with eating them, and that's the challenge. Is I could eat, for example, dairy. I'm like, no dairy across the board, nothing.
That's my husband as well.
And I mean, big into the 4s and 5s, and like top, do not ever go near this stuff. And I love dairy, and I love cheese, and I love all that stuff. So I'm eating it daily. You just didn't love to die every time your joints were swollen while you were on vacation. Right. So I could go off of dairy for a while, and I feel pretty good, and then I might eat it the next day, and I still feel fine. And I might eat it the next day, so I still feel fine. And then all of a sudden you hit that sort of overflowing bucket thing where
the bucket theory that I talk about. They add up.
And all of a sudden, voila, I don't know why my knees are hurting so badly, kind of a thing. But yes, and there was much more than dairy on my food mapping thing, but it also shows you tremendously what you can eat, and all the things that you're allowed to eat, and like I can eat all the meats that I want. I can eat all these vegetables I want.
Well, but that's the thing. A lot of people researching this and just starting to dig into like leaky gut or food sensitivities and the underlying assumption is, working through this process is going to mean I'm going to have to eliminate a ton more foods. Right. No, you're actually in the exact data to know what are the things for sure that you have to eliminate, but nothing else. And there's a ton of foods you're going to add back in, because that's not going to be based on fear. It's going to be based on your data. You can actually safely add these other foods back in. And you've seen this. Most of the people we're working with are actually working to incorporate and add back a ton of stuff that they eliminated out of fear. Boom. Okay. Now, I know you said food mapping was a big thing. What else do you think were some of the linchpins?
I know, well, nutrition-wise, I was very low on vitamin D. Live in the Pacific Northwest. No surprise. Right.
But also, living in the Pacific Northwest with this long history of autoimmune-related issue, it's really critical what is like the optimal level of vitamin D. Right. Not just, I need to take some vitamin D.
Yeah. So I think I was down at around 30. Just received some results recently. I'm up around 120, 125 now.
Getting up there.
Actually, I had to back off a little bit. Which is fine. And,
I'd rather you have that problem than to be sitting here in the shitter at 30.
Yes.
Right? With palindromic rheumatism.
Exactly.
Right?
Same thing with ferritin. Was low. Now I'm up to where I ought to be.
Yeah.
And surprise, I have energy and I feel good. You know. So just the various nutritional things, that aspect.
Yeah. Were there any surprises, let's say, in hormones for you? Did you expect there to be anything going on with hormones, and was there?
There was. I'm definitely taking measures to improve my hormonal activity. I'm due to take some tests. I don't have the after picture yet. I got the before.
I can't wait.
And I'm working through it. I can say that since the early December, I've been sleeping quite a bit better.
Yeah.
Always I've been a morning person, so it was no surprise that I would wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock and get up and be ready to go. But now I was able to sleep until 6 o'clock quite regularly. Now I've got this device that I wear that tells me how I'm doing well.
And you're a data geek. You love analyzing, all the numbers and the data, the HRV, you name it.
Yeah, well, it's nice of you to sort of limit it down to data geek. I think probably it's a broader spectrum of geek than that. But so I'm constantly looking at data and whatever I can find what's going on with my health, because it's been such a mystery. And I've had to do a lot of this on my own until I found Transform. Just sort of shotgun effect. Well, let's try this, let's try that. Let's read this book, let's read that book, let's find this stuff out. And I can honestly say now that, well, let's see, I had a big trip in November, survived it quite well, did not suffer nearly like I used to. Had a couple of days where I took some ibuprofen, but nowhere near the volumes of ibuprofen to get through it. Like I took 2 pills that day rather than 4 to 6 throughout the day, like multiple times. And that was only for a couple of days out of 2 weeks. So that was near miraculous for me. And that's just basically knowing what not to eat, to hydrate. I drink a lot more water than I did before I got here.
Yeah.
I thought I was drinking water, but nowhere in the volumes that I am now.
Yeah.
And watching my blood sugar, because whenever I travel, it's like, I can have that gelato, I can have that treat, that ice cream, this and that. And now I know I can have some of that stuff, but I know how to sort of ground it and make sure that it's not spiking my blood sugar up here and then down there, but trying to keep it somewhat moderate. And when to just say no, because I've had plenty the last few days. And
okay. Question: what's something surprising about the process of working with us? What's something that surprised you, whether it's about us, yourself, the experience in any way?
Well, having to sit down in front of a camera facetious. Surprising. I'm very difficult to surprise, so that's why I'm searching for an answer. But I guess what surprises me the most is how often the last few weeks I've woken up in the morning and then said, I feel good. It's like it's almost getting routine that I feel good.
Yeah.
I work out, I row every other morning on a rowing machine pretty vigorously for about 20 minutes, and I'm able to sustain that physically. And all of it, the activity and the nutrition and even the mindset work, it all comes together and makes it work so that I expect to feel good tomorrow morning. It's unusual. Literally for 30 years, I would wake up and think, okay, what's going to hurt today?
Well, what else is going to go wrong today?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's just not happening.
Well, welcome to the new normal.
Yeah. I'll have setbacks, and I'm fine with that. But because nobody's perfect, I will go off and do things that I probably shouldn't do. But the recovery time will be a day, perhaps, instead of a week or two. if and when that happens, and I will know why it happened. I don't know what to do to counteract it.
What would you say to a John out there? Let's say, think about where you were just 3 months ago, 4 months ago. What would you say to a John out there who's looking around, searching Google, trying to figure this out himself? What would you say to him about this experience?
Well, I mean, it's been good. It's been worth it. I'm still on the trail because now that I feel good, I want to feel really good.
I like that.
I used to be an athlete, and I had to basically,
are an athlete.
Yeah, and I had to sort of put that completely on the back burner for decades, and I look forward to playing in the future. So I'm still on that trail. To anyone, to another fellow named John out there, just go ahead and take a hard look at it. In my experience, the people here at Transform are all very genuine, and I'm leery. I'm very skeptical, always looking like, okay, what's the angle? How are they trying to take advantage of me? And I have found that was probably my biggest surprise, was how legitimate this process, these people are. So,
I love that.
So for me, the way I started was because I was skeptical. I said, well, I'm not going to get into the whole big program up front. Let's break this off into a project that I can do.
Did you start with food mapping?
I started with food mapping.
That's right.
And I said, okay, show me something.
Yeah.
And the food mapping, they suggested, well, it sounds like you could do well with the food mapping.
Yeah.
I did that. I saw results like right away.
Yep.
Like as soon as I stopped the
That's
dairy.
within a matter of weeks. Yeah.
As soon as I stopped the dairy after I got my results, they said no more dairy. Within 2-3 days, I was sleeping much better. Everything was, all my numbers on my personal devices, things were like setting records.
And you're the kind of guy, like most of us, where I'll do it if there's data to show that I should do it.
Yeah.
And I'll do it consistently when there's data and there's rationale behind why I should continue to do it. And I'll do it as long as there are results that shows me I need to continue to do it.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yep.
I love that. What's something surprising about working with me that someone out there might not know? Or what's something that other people out there that haven't worked with me that they would be surprised to learn? And you could be truthful.
No, I will lie through my teeth.
Lie through your teeth.
Other than the fact, well, you just speak very genuinely, you speak my language, which is laced with some profanity from time to time.
I'm a huge fan of the cursey words.
Yeah, I can clean it up pretty good, but when I'm on my own. And so I would say, again, the authenticity. I can see it often. The other thing that's amazing about Transform and that program is you come in with a set of people who are all new at the exact same time.
Yep.
And so, again, because I'm skeptical and I'm looking like, okay, where's the scam? Where are they setting me up? If I just came in and I was the only new person and all these other people were just telling me things, that would have my antenna would be up. But when you come in with a bunch of people who are just as new as you are, and they say, hey, I got these results back and I did this, and wow, I'm seeing these results. And you actually see them because you're in the meetings online with them. And you can see, like, I remember this fellow, Shane.
Yep.
He stopped eating eggs, and boom, within 2 days, his whole energy level was completely transformed. And
Shane's like 26, 27 years old with extreme POTS to the point where it sidelined his ability to work.
Yeah.
And eggs, just eggs, was like a huge linchpin for him.
He could, he was coming to the meetings and he looked like death warmed over.
Yep.
And like 2 or 3 days after cutting out the eggs, he looked like a normal person. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So to see those results with your cohorts is also very encouraging and profound as well. So that's an amazing part of working within this program that is underrated.
I think proof is not also, I think there's proof in what your own experience and your own results are. But to me, it's even more validating to have the support of seeing proof in all these other people who are going through that process with you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And also it helps with the belief that you're not some super special rare unicorn and you can't be helped.
Right.
And in fact, it doesn't even matter what the diagnosis, what the problem is. Every single person you're going through the program with, they're seeing results, they're implementing, they're learning, and they're doing.
Exactly.
So you're not that rare, and there's a whole community of people who can kick ass, take names, and chew bubblegum with you. That's what I love about it. Boy, that was an amazing interview, and I'm touched and I'm proud. These are the kind of kick-ass people we work with, and I love, if you or anyone you know is struggling with POTS, dysautonomia, long haul, or unexplained chronic health symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, irritability, irritable bowel syndrome, which you know now, I think IBS is BS. If you're struggling with any chronic health related symptoms, I have a POTS and dysautonomia and long haul training series available. If you want the training series, look at the copy above or below this video and we will get the POTS training series to you. It's a free multi-part training that shows you what are some of the underlying causes of POTS, dysautonomia and long haul. Click the link below and watch my free training. Learn this one simple concept and be ready to get life back on track. Click the link below.